Joining the panel right now, Subramanian Swamy versus KTS Tulsi. Subramanian Swamy, welcome. KTS Tulsi, welcome into the debate. It's getting so ridiculous right now. So ridiculous right now. Mahesh Jethmalani can continue for a bit if he wants to. No, okay. So Mr. KTS Tulsi and Subramanian Swamy, welcome back to part 2 of this whole debate. Sonia Gandhi says vendetta, vendetta, vendetta. KTS Tulsi, vendetta is not going to help. Nobody's impressed when you say vendetta. What vendetta? Whose vendetta? Subramanian Swamy's vendetta, well fine. Subramanian Swamy is a bad man. He's vindictive. He has a lot of vendetta. So what? So what, Mr. Tulsi? How can you end up owning thousands of crores of rupees worth of property by creating an instrument called Young Indian? Owned 72% by the Gandhis. Complete ownership. And you get access to all the properties which were given in the name of the National Herald. Now you want to bring in some warped logic saying, look here, National Herald equals democracy, equals freedom struggle. We own democracy and own freedom struggle. Do the Gandhis own democracy and own the freedom struggle that they can therefore indirectly or directly own all these properties? Mr. Tulsi,
I have already heard your harangue.
Mr. Tulsi, it's
can I answer? Am I here to answer a question or only listen to you?
All right. It was a direct and pointed question. I'm sure I won't be giving the kind of platform that other channels do because I don't. I professionally am bound by my responsibility to ask the tough question.
I'm not come here to listen to
And if asking the tough question in journalism becomes a harangue, then so be it. Let there be a harangue. I'd rather harangue politicians and people who I ask questions to rather than give them some sweet, syrupy question or a platform. This is the news. I don't do it, sir.
Never-ending question.
Thank you.
And don't give a minute to the other person to answer.
Sir, you called it a harangue. You called a tough question a harangue. I take that as an insult. I'm only placing it on record.
Doesn't come to an end and you don't give any time to anyone to answer.
Sir, you can have all the time that you want. Don't call it a harangue.
Okay, don't call it a harangue. If you allow me to say what I have to say. You see, firstly, I want to say that this cannot be termed as a commercial venture because the object of the associated journals and the object of the Congress Party and the object of the Young Indian are exactly the same. That is to promote democracy and to promote secularism. If these are the objects which are being served, they are purely political objectives. And if Young Indian and the Congress Party continue to serve democracy and secularism, it cannot be said to be by any stretch of imagination a commercial venture. It doesn't become commercial. And
counter question. Counter question, no harangue. Counter question, not a harangue. 1 second. Counter question, not a harangue.
Okay.
Prakash Karat says I promote secularism. A.B. Bardhan says I promote democracy. Right? Why don't you give A.B. Bardhan and Prakash Karat 36% equity ownership of all the properties owned by National Herald, which will go into thousands of crores of rupees? Are Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi the only two people who believe in secularism and democracy, or they have some family right over it?
Okay. Okay, can I answer that, please? You see, the question is, Congress Party may have an emotional bond with National Herald because it was founded by Jawaharlal Nehru. All right. Now, if the same objective can be served, if Prakash Karat wanted to acquire it, they could have tried to acquire it. Nobody tried to acquire.
What?
They couldn't pay the salaries.
What
they
are you
couldn't
saying?
pay the provident fund. There was a huge problem. They have acquired the shares through a transparent and legal method. Thereafter, there is a Section 25 company, which is actually a trust. Now, if the same objectives are being served, my answer is limited, that it cannot be called a commercial venture. It continues to be a political purpose of democracy and secularism. Second answer I want to give,
Sir, let's not commit such crimes in the name of democracy and secularism.
Even if there is no crime, to propagate democracy is not a crime yet in this country. To propagate secularism is not a crime in this country. And you can't call this a crime. And I want to say that even if there are a million questions of law to be deeply gone into,
something else to propagate secularism, why do you have to take over thousands of crores of rupees worth of property? I'm taking Subramanian Swamy's response now before I go to the first break. Subramanian Swamy.
That's exactly what I wanted to answer.
Subramanian Swamy.
That even if
Can I
in
say-
questions of law.
Can I answer him?
Subramanian Swamy.
Now, see, Mr. Tulsi is a brilliant lawyer, but he's got such a bad case that he has completely forgotten the facts of the situation. The objects and reasons or the memorandum of association, the articles of association of National Herald say the purpose of setting it up is to report the events of the freedom movement. It is for publishing a newspaper. And this newspaper
Also
has
propagating
been now put to death. As far as the young Indian is concerned, there is no reference in the Memorandum of Association to democracy and secularism. It's only moral values for
there is.
young people. I'm sorry, you please go and read it
Dr.
again.
Swamy, there is.
Now, wait a minute. Let's go one step at a time. First of all, you have killed a newspaper. So therefore, you cannot have an emotional attachment to a National Herald which you have killed and terminated its existence. Number one. Number two,
That's a
this
bailout.
land which was given, is a leased land, and therefore it is owned by the government of India. And therefore, if you can't run a newspaper, you have to return the land to the government of India. In fact, now the Madhya Pradesh government has taken back the land in Bhopal. After seeing what has happened in the courts here, they have now taken it back. And I think the government of India has a right to take back the land in Bahadur Shah Zafar Marg also. Now wait a minute. Third is, you say non-profit and all that. Don't make an issue of that, because this company belongs to Ms. Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, and tomorrow if they decide as an extreme measure to
President and
liquidate
Vice
the
President of
company,
the Congress.
the property belongs to them.
From KTS Tulsi. He's responding
It does
back.
not belong to the
He's
people
responding
of
back.
India.
He's responding back. One quick response and then I'll take a first break.
Therefore, this is all a
Yes,
special
what I want to
purpose
say is-
vehicle. All this
what I
talk
want to
of
say
a
is-
non-profit is rubbish. All expenses paid
No,
for,
sir.
all travel done on behalf of National Herald, Young Indian is paid for out of this. And
Sir,
you have given out the building for
mention-
rent. You are given out the building for rent, which is on commercial
For political
basis
purpose.
to the Ministry of External Affairs.
For political purpose.
For political
what
purpose?
political purposes?
What political purpose?
People
What
are
Propagating
political
democracy.
Ministry of External
Oh,
Affairs is giving
democracy,
passports.
secularism.
There.
That's the
you-
object
you-
of Young Indian.
You rented it. No, 1 second. You rented
can-
to the
can I
Ministry of
mention-
External Affairs for promoting democracy?
Yes.
Yes, then you gave it free.
Arguments are
You
getting
took money for it.
Congress.
I actually wanted a response from KTS Tulsi to that analogy of the young person who goes in and takes over the property after murdering an old terminally ill patient and takes over their property, whether that analogy is right in this one. But KTS Tulsi unfortunately had to leave, for some other engagement, I think. Is that analogy appropriate in your view, Aarti and Jayanta?
No, absolutely. And Arnab, I remember many years ago, a lot of properties owned by newspapers on Bahadur Shah Zafar Marg were out on commercial rent. And the government of India, the Ministry of Urban Development, I think, is what owns that land. They sent notices to those newspapers threatening to take back the building. Now, if the National Herald is going to lie dead, it's been 6 years since it was shut down, no signs of revival. On what basis is that building going to remain with the trust or the organization, or I don't know who owns it now, Young Indian, the Gandhis, who owns the National Herald? On what basis will it remain with them? I think it's time the government of India sent a notice, to Associated Journals and say, what are you doing with National Herald? And if you have no intention of reviving it,
government takes it over.
Then we take back the building from you.
So while this court case goes on, what happens to the property? Subramanian Swamy, while the court case goes on, what happens with the properties? They have huge commercial value, and this country is strapped for resources.
The point was very well taken.
No, the point was very well taken, because there is this Indian Express case, Supreme Court 1986, where they have also mentioned National Herald. They said that whole Bahadur Shah Zafar Marg was meant for development of the newspaper industry as a kind of Fleet Street. And now they said that land is leased land. It really belongs to the government in the case they cannot run a newspaper. And that's what happened in the case of Indian Express. They wanted to take it over. Mrs. Gandhi's government or Rajiv Gandhi's government wanted to take it over on the grounds that they were not doing newspaper business at all. Even though they were in the basement and first floor and second floor doing newspaper business. So here the whole building has gone for commercial rent. And it is on leased property where the condition is you will not rent out the premises. So it's a complete illegality. And today to say this is a Section 25 company, they're not making profits. What happens tomorrow if Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi decide to wind up the company? Who gets the property? It is Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi will get the property.
Do you think the Gandhis are really stuck on this one?
This
one, particularly Sonia Gandhi, the more she says vendetta, the more people will get specific and say, Mrs. Gandhi, answer the specific points here.
And the specific, only one answer they have to give, that after 2008, they have closed down on 2008. They have taken the money, the huge loan, and after 2008, they could not open the newspaper. And there are two other newspapers also, not only National Herald, there are actually 3 newspapers. Dr. Swamy knows better than me. And this property, they have closed down, and till today, why they failed to start it, that also they have to give reply. If it is a nostalgia of national movement, then as a citizen of this country, I have a right to know that this huge money you got from the bank and you have not started the newspaper. What is the reason behind the failure?
This whole nostalgia for the national movement is a ridiculous argument. Tomorrow you'll say we want to take over Rajghat and Teen Murti Bhavan for it. I mean, this is getting very foolish. We're going to wrap it up here. I wish the Congress representative had stayed on a little while longer. But one thing is clear. This is getting very, 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 very complicated for the Gandhis. Saying it's vendetta, I'm sorry, is not going to fly. Thank you very much for joining me on debate number 2 on the